Okay, so let's go over value and appraisal and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so let's start with this. What are the 4 essential elements of value?
Scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand.
Excellent. Good. So you know that. You don't even need to know the silly acronyms, do you?
Well, I know it's stood.
Good.
Yes.
All right. So scarcity, transferability, utility, demand. Is cost relevant to value?
You said is cost relevant to value?
Yeah.
No.
No. Why?
Because cost is pretty much what somebody is willing to pay, and value is kind of what is really worth.
Well, you're close. Cost is what you paid for it.
Okay.
Like if I want to buy your house and you tell me it's 300 grand and I turn to you and go, well, what'd you pay for it? What would you say? None of your business.
You're right.
It does. You tell me it is what I paid for is no relevance to what I'm selling it for.
Right.
Right? What I paid for, it's what I paid for. It doesn't matter if I got a great deal, a bad deal, if it was a gift to me by family or what, you know?
Right.
So the cost it costs to acquire it has no relevance to what you're going to sell it for. Okay?
Okay.
So selling, the value is actually what a willing, able buyer is willing to pay for it on an open market.
Okay.
All right? So you seem to got that down pretty well. Okay, what are you going to get licensed to do? What do you want to do after you pass?
Sell houses.
Okay, so you want to sell houses, like conventional real estate agent,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Mhm.
Are you in a house right now? Do you own a house now?
I don't. I rent a house.
Okay. How do you know the value of the building you're in?
How do I know? I guess I would do the market data approach.
Okay, but you said you rent, right?
Yeah, I rent. Oh, with the gross rent multiplier.
Right. So there's probably multiple units in your building, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mhm.
you could do the gross rent multiplier, but what is that market data approach that you mentioned?
The market data approach is when you take comparable properties within a certain mile radius of the property of the subject property, and you compare it to those kind of some amenities that it has and it doesn't have, and you base the cost off of that. Yes.
Got it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you subtract for variables like a pool and whatnot, right?
I was like, so you add if the subject property has something.
Now, what do you use the cost approach for?
Cost approach would be for a new building.
Good. Why?
Because it's easier to find the cost to replace it.
Yes, because you're saying essentially looking how much would it cost to replace it brand new. So what kind of buildings would you use it for?
The special purpose buildings like the church, the schools,
Good.
the
Libraries,
libraries.
things like that. Why?
Because you said there probably won't be a lot to compare it to
Exactly. So
in
there's
that
nothing else to
area.
compare it to. So you can't do the market data comparison approach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this better on new properties, not old ones?
Because what you paid 30 years ago to build a house is definitely not going to be the same of what you would pay to build the same house today.
Right, and
I guess.
also materials may be different, cost of labor would be
Mm-hmm.
different, and the way you build it could be different, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's better for new properties. You can make a better comparison. So really, the hardest property to appraise would be like a really old library because you can't do comparables. The cost approach doesn't work, and it doesn't have income, so you can't do the income approach or gross rent multiplier.
Okay.
So that'd be like the hardest thing to appraise. What is the gross rent multiplier?
Is it the amount of rent per year subtracted from what you paid for the house?
Other way around. Price
Okay.
divided by rent.
Okay.
Okay, it's price divided by rent. Okay, so how much do you pay in rent?
$1,000.
Okay, how much do you think your building is worth?
Mm, it's an older house, probably like 150, maybe.
Okay, so how much would the gross rent multiplier be? Do the math right now. Give me the monthly
Um,
gross rent multiplier on the building you're in.
12.5
Okay, good. Oh, actually, no. Was that monthly or annual?
annual.
Okay, so I want the monthly
We'll
one.
do it monthly. Okay. 150.
Okay, good. Now, how did I know you gave me the annual? Like, what gave it away?
The number was low, and you said that if it is yearly, then it'll probably be between 5 and 20.
Yeah,
And if it's annual, it'll be between like 120 and 180 or something.
something like that. A higher number. I think it's like 80 to
Yeah,
200
higher
or
number.
something like that. Right. So, why is that important for your exam?
They may ask for monthly or they may ask for yearly. You have to be able to do both, I guess.
Right, because they may
Or
give
they
you
may give you the gross rent multiplier.
right, and they may give you
Okay.
monthly figures, but ask for the answer in annual or vice versa.
Okay.
Like say there's this much a month, how much the annual? Or here's the annual gross rent multiplier. What's the monthly rent? So you
Okay.
got to be careful of that, and knowing what you just said will really help you out with that. Okay, so how'd you come up with that
Mhm.
annual number that you came up with? Walk me through what you
Multiply it
did.
by 12.
Okay, so tell me what you did. So you did 150.
Times 12,000 for the
Yeah,
annual
yeah, yeah.
or the yeah I did well first I did 1,000 times 12, which is 12,000, and then you divide the 150,000 by the 12,000 and get the annual gross rent multiplier.
Good. And when you're practicing real life, this is important because very often you'll have the gross rent multipliers in the area. So you'll take 10 buildings, right? And you want to know what the price is of the 11th. Okay. So you'll take 10 buildings around that property. And for every property, what you're going to do is you're going to find the gross rent multiplier. Okay.
Okay.
And then you're going to take your subject property and say, well, I know this property is bringing $1,000 a month, and I know the gross rent multiplier in this area is 12.5. Therefore, it makes sense to pay 150 grand for this property.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and that's why it's not only important for your exam, it's super important when you practice real estate.
Okay.
Because it'll help you determine value. Because when you're dealing with income properties, you can't just do comparable prices because you don't know how many tenants it has there, how many rooms it has for rent, and all that kind of stuff. There's that other factor.
Right. If you got like a multiple family, you would have to add all of those together.
Right, which wouldn't really compare to one single family house that rents, but it just rents like one room. Maybe a nice room,
Right.
but it would be a different price deal.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because they're looking at what the purpose is for it.
Very much sense.
Yeah. So that's
A
the
lot of
gross
sense.
rent multiplier. So you got your market data, you got your cost approach, and the last is the income approach. Do you know what the income approach is?
Okay, so the income approach is pretty much when you see how much the building, if it's like a business or something, and how much business the building is bringing in, I think.
Right.
I'm not sure about that
No,
one.
no, you're doing
Okay.
great. You're doing absolutely great. You know this. So basically, the income approach, you're taking the income and converting it to value. Basically, if that building, for whatever reason, has potential to bring a lot more income for you, wouldn't you pay more for it?
Mm-hmm. You said will it?
If 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 you're selling shoes, right,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you believe the building I'm selling will be much better for you to sell shoes than the building down the street, for whatever reason, foot traffic, location, whatever the reason may be, parking, I don't know. Would you
Right.
pay more for my building?
Yes, probably.
And you don't care about comparables or anything like that. You just care that in that building, I could sell a lot more shoes.
All right.
And the way you calculate that is with the capitalization income approach.
Yeah.
And that's the point of that, to say, you know what, I'm going to pay more because the cap rate for this building is this high or this low.
Okay.
Okay? And all you really need to know is it converts income into value. I mean, and you're not going to really need to know that in real life because it's not the type of real estate you're going to do. If you're going to commercial real estate, that's the type of thing you would need to know.
Okay.
And it'll teach you that when you actually sign up with a commercial firm.
Okay.
But for residential, you got another market data approach and sometimes gross rent multiplier.
Alrighty.
All right?
Okay.
So that's all
Right
of them. Yeah, those are the ones you asked about.
I kind of watched your video over and over and over. I kind of get the joint tenancy and the tenancy in common.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's just a little stuff like which one goes to the heirs, or you know what I'm saying?
Which
like
one
which
do you
one
think?
you can pass to your heirs. Is it the joint tenancy that goes to you have heirs?
Nope.
And then it's the tenancy in common that goes to the heirs?
Exactly. And here's why. Joint tenancy we would use if you and I were super close, like brother and sister, and in some states even married. You use joint tenancy. Okay? Like we really know each other. We're really tight. Okay?
Okay.
So in that situation, joint tenancy, everything's unified. Everything. Time, title, interest, and possession to tip. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, when everything's unified, you have something called the right of survivorship.
Okay.
All right? Do you know what the right of survivorship means?
Yes, that if you and I owned a building and I passed away, even though you're not my heir, you would get the building because you are my partner.
Right, and I have the right of survivorship, meaning I survived you. I'm the surviving partner, as you said.
Okay.
Now, if we know each other, like we just met today, right? But you sound really smart, you think I'm smart, we have similar business interests, and we want to get a building together because we can't afford it on our own.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, we would take it as tenants in common. Tenants in common is what it says. It's actually more common. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The only you need there is possession. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay.
Okay? Just possession. Does that make sense?
And that one you can pass to heirs. Yes, that makes sense.
Exactly. So in that one, if you or I pass away, you could pass it on to the heirs. We could pass it on to our heirs. Because there's no right of survivorship.
Okay.
Okay? So let me ask you a question. Which one of those can you not take it with a corporation?
A joint tenancy?
Excellent. Why?
Because with the corporation you can have different because they won't have you might not have the same time, title, interest, or possession that somebody else has in the company, I guess. And you can pass it to your heirs. There's no right of survivorship with the corporation.
Exactly. With a corporation, corporations don't die; they dissolve.
Pretty much, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that's why you can't take it with a corporation.
Okay.
All right.
All right. And last but not least is the estate, the listed freehold, the wonderful freehold estate, listed freehold.
Okay.
And I think everything else I'm pretty good with.
All right. So what do you understand about it?
I know I kind of got it broken down. Another less than freehold is like the estate for years, the estate at will, estate at sufferance.
Yeah, essentially they're leases.
Yeah. Okay. So they're leases, and then the what's the other one? The freehold. It's just freehold by itself.
Excuse me?
What's the other one? It's less than freehold, and then it's just freehold, or
Yes.
okay. And that's like the fee simple.
Excuse me. Sorry. Ooh. Excuse me. Yes.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
So that's like absolute ownership, the freehold.
Yeah. Freehold. Okay.
Okay.
So right now, in your property, do you have a less than freehold or freehold estate?
I have a less than freehold because it's a lease.
What kind of less than freehold estate?
Uh, state for years,
Why?
I think. Well, no, not anymore. Mine is probably an estate. What's the other one? Periodic
Well, do you play month to month
we
now?
pay month to month now.
Good.
Yeah.
So periodic tenancy. Exactly. Good.
Okay.
My favorite example of estate for years is like a summer rental.
Okay.
Like when somebody rents something for a designated period of time.
Okay.
Like most people when they travel or vacation for extended period of times, like when families take their kids somewhere for the summer,
Mhm.
they'll get an estate for years.
Okay.
Because you know when you're in, you know where you're out. And obviously you see that a lot in like beach communities or ski communities or lake communities. You know, resorty
Okay.
areas.
Right.
That's estate for years. Okay, and these are all less than freehold estates. Okay? And the next one you have is what? So you have your estate for years, then you have your periodic tenancy you mentioned, then what's next?
The estate at will.
Good, what's that?
Is that when there's a definite end date? Well, I know either the owner or the tenant can terminate the lease
Good.
at any time.
Yeah, and so that's illegal. Because somebody just gets up and leaves. It's like you just right now when we got on the phone be like, I don't want to live here anymore, I'm leaving. Bye.
Okay.
Can you do that?
No.
No, and they can't do that to you. They can't be like, you know what? My brother wants to move in. See ya.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Mm.
What's worse than somebody leaving at any time?
The staying without paying.
Right, they don't leave. Right? A
Right.
deadbeat tenant, they don't leave. Okay? So these are less than freehold estates. Okay? Think less than freehold, lease, less than freehold. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
And then you have the freehold estates. What's that all about?
The freehold estate is it's fee simple absolute, which is also like the fee or fee simple, and then the other one is it fee simple determinable?
Good. Some people call it
Okay.
defeasible. Some people call it determinable. But yeah,
that's
excellent.
what I was thinking, feasible.
Right. So don't get that confused. Those are the same things.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So with the absolute, it's like absolute ownership. Like you have.
So you got your fee simple absolute estate and fee, right? Is it truly absolute? Is it free from all encumbrances?
No, because of the taxes.
Excellent, good. So you always got that encumbrance. And you got others too, but there's always taxes, right? And then, if you saw my video, it sounds like you have. I always use the example of the king, Old England, when I talk about this.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, it was back in the day. With the freehold, the guys who had total freedom with it were the lords of the manor, because they were all buddies with the king. Sadly, is what's happening now with our government, right? Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, not to get political on you, but it's totally happening. I think we just conveyed we're on the same team, but
right.
Yeah. Yes, as all the billionaires taken positions.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
sorry, I won't go on that tangent, right?
Right.
um, so okay, but they had all the relationships with the king, okay,
Mhm.
and they had a freehold. And basically, back then, they would let people live there who would have a less than freehold, and they would basically tend to the
Okay.
land. And back
Okay.
then, it was basically borderline slave labor. Back then, like they'd have to live there. They make it. They'd have this unrealistic goal for them and say, if you want to live, you have to tend my land. Period. You know,
Right.
and those
Right.
people had no
Mhm.
rights, and it was horrible. That's where the word mortgage comes from. Mortgage is actually Latin for death pledge.
Yeah, I know you said that. It's crazy.
Everybody remembers that. I don't know why. That always sticks in people's mind. Um,
You don't know why?
yeah, I just kind
Like,
of
yeah,
yeah,
let me get a death pledge.
right. And I bring this up because that's where the word landlord comes from.
Okay.
You know, now there's one freehold estate you were missing, the life estate,
Yeah, yeah, I started thinking about that when you started talking about the
and
king.
that well, that's what made me think about it because the life estate's my favorite example for the king and whatnot.
Mhm.
When I explain it, do you know what the life estate's
Yeah.
all about?
I know. It's like if if I give my son property, but he can only keep it until I die, and then
Good.
or
It's
if I give it to him and say you can keep it till your dad dies, and then you have to give it back.
exactly. It's just based on
So that's an
somebody
Ultra
else.
V.
Yeah. Oh, look at you studying. Good stuff. Right. That's great stuff. Yeah, it's just based upon somebody's life.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so you got that there. Now, give me the example you just mentioned, okay, for the
Mhm.
life estate.
Give you an example of the life estate.
Right. So you started to
Um.
just now.
Oh, if I give my son property and tell him he can only keep it until somebody passes or I pass.
Okay, so until you pass. Okay, so here's my
Uh
question.
huh.
Who's the holder of the life estate?
My son.
Who has estate in reversion?
I do.
Okay. Who has estate in remainder?
Um.
Well, actually,
I do. I don't know.
you don't have the estate in reversion. Well, actually, do you? Let me think about this real quick. Your son has the property. Okay, because reversion is when it reverts back if the oh no, excuse me, you do have the estate reversion. You're correct. I'm sorry. Like if your son screws up or doesn't do something, or goes on his way, it goes back to you. Like
Mhm.
let's say something happens to your son, who gets the property.
Whoever my beneficiary, I
That's the
guess.
estate in reversion. So who has the estate in
Okay.
remainder?
Um, I don't know.
Well, you said if you die, your son no longer has the property, right?
No. Right.
So your son doesn't have it. You're dead. So my point is you don't need to say a
The
person,
state.
or maybe it's like another, maybe it's a family member or something like that. My point is that person
Right.
would have the estate and remainder.
Okay.
All right.
So it is kind of like the beneficiary, I guess, if whoever I
Yeah.
left my estate to.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. All right. But you sound pretty good. I'll be honest. You've been studying. You've been doing your thing.
Yes, I think I've rewritten every note over like 18 times.
Yeah. So just keep doing that and keep doing questions for your exam, and I think you'll be okay.
Okay. I appreciate that. I think that's it. I think that's really all I had questions with, and then I'll study the
Good.
that's
Yeah, and I hope it helped.
the that's what. Thank you. That
All
makes
right.
me feel good. I'm actually not even nervous, so that's weird. So
Yeah. No, I think you'll be all right. And if you want, I
yeah.
could put this recording on YouTube if you want. You could hear it again, but we don't have to.
Okay. Well, it's fine. If you want to put it up there, I don't think I had a lot of information
Yeah.
for
So
anybody.
maybe.
Um,
But I think you
Yeah,
did.
but
You're more than you think. You really knew your stuff very well.
okay, I will.
All right.
And I
Well,
take my test on the 18th, so look out for my pass.
all right. I will. Let me know how it goes.
Okay, and this will be my first time, so hopefully I'll pass the first time.
Yeah, I think you will. I think you'll be all right.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.